LCTV is your nonprofit community media station. Please donate at lctv.org to keep us strong. Thank you.
Matt, how long have you been vice principal here at Medomak Valley?
This is my 6th year.
6th year working with Ms. Pease?
Yep. I came on board the first year she was principal. She was interim for half a year before that, but the first year she was principal.
In a position of leadership as vice principal, how do you interact and come up with policies between the two of you?
Well, we don't really come up with policies. The board does, but we come up with ways to follow the policies and make sure that we're doing the right things with the students. Mrs. Pease, her door's always open, so anytime that we need to discuss something, that she's available.
Receptive to ideas?
Absolutely. She's one of the most thoughtful, transparent leaders I've ever met. She you know what she believes, you know where she stands. She's reflective. If something doesn't go the way she had hoped, she thinks about it a lot. She comes back and she has a new plan. She doesn't stop. She knows that every single kid in this school, and she knows what they need. And if she hears something happen to a student, she makes sure she runs it down to make sure all her kids are safe. It's just a pleasure to work for.
Your thoughts on her getting this award?
About time. Yeah. No, it was not a surprise to me, and I'm glad someone nominated her, so she has this opportunity.
Ms. Webster, what do you teach here at Medomak Valley?
Well, this is my first year as the district technology instructional coach, but prior to this year, I taught English here for 23 years.
Does Mrs. Pease go out and recruit English teachers from her past?
No, I actually was here before she started working in this building. Like, she's in the district longer than me, but I was in this building before she was. Yeah.
Your thoughts as Mrs. Pease being a principal who taught for 30 years?
Oh, I think it definitely gives her the perspective that is needed to be supportive for teachers, right? Because she's been there, and not just there for 1 or 2 years, but there for a long time, right? And she understands the challenges and the rewards of being a classroom teacher.
Your thoughts on her leadership?
Oh, excellent leader, and not just for classroom teachers, but also in any of our roles that impact students extracurricularly as well. I am the director of the winter drama, the Competition 1 Act, and she's been nothing but supportive for that.
Your thoughts on her getting this award?
I think it's well deserved, and we're all very excited for her.
Peter Stewart, you've taught with Linda Pease for a long time.
I have.
And now she's your boss. Your thoughts?
My thoughts is, first of all, I don't think I would want another boss. She's amazing. She's always been amazing ever since I've known her as a teacher, as an administrator, an assistant principal, now as my boss, the principal. She's just an amazing person.
Your thoughts on her getting this award?
Oh, well deserved, very well deserved. She took over. We had a little bit of a rough patch when she took over, but she's guided us really in an awesome direction, a great direction. She got us through COVID, and she's just a supporter of everything here at school and every kid, no matter what they do. And I can't think of anybody that's more deserving, to be honest with you.
How long have you been here at Medomak Valley?
Just 2 years, actually, but I retired from administration in RSU 40.
What's it like working for Linda Pease?
What's it like working for Linda Pease? Well, I've known her in two capacities. She's a colleague of mine for 7 years. I was a principal at Prescott Memorial School in Washington, and we worked together on the admin team. And then I retired, and I came here to work for the last 2 years as the McKinney-Vento coordinator, and this is my first time at the high school. I worked at elementary level in this district, and now the last 2 years I worked here at the high school 1 day a week because I'm part-time. So what's it like working for Linda Pease? Well, when you come into the high school, you feel you are greeted by a front office staff that is phenomenal. I've never had experience working with high schoolers before. All my educational experience has been at the elementary level. So you have a little bit of a fear of high school and what that's like as a totally different area for me. But it was easy stepping into this role with Linda Pease as a principal. She welcomes, I knew her from before, so, but the atmosphere and the environment at this school is incredible. From the staff right down to the custodians, to the kitchen crew, and that stems from leadership, and that is Linda Pease.
Randy, what's your job here at Medomak Valley?
I'm a math teacher and I'm the chair of the math department.
How long have you worked for Linda Pease?
Since she became principal, and then we've been working together since I came here in '05.
Your thoughts on the award that Linda just won?
Most deserving award that I've seen in my 37 years of education, and there's a simple reason why. I've worked for 7 different principals, 7 other principals at 2 other high schools and a middle school in my 37 years. They're all hard workers, they all care about the kids, they all care about their staff, but they didn't work in their home. This building is her home. Her father was the principal here starting in 1970, which means she was around 8 years old when he became principal here. Where do you think she was a lot of the time? She was here. This is her home. And she treats the building, the cafeteria workers, the students, the staff, everybody, as if they're family. And you can tell. It's not just, I'm just not saying that. It actually is the way that she feels about this building and the people in it. That's why she should be the principal. That's why she's principal of the year, pure and simple.
Jessica, how long have you worked for Linda Pease?
So I started working here in 2018.
For Mrs. Pease?
For Mrs. Pease, yes.
She was principal?
She had become the principal that year, yes. Yes.
What kind of ship does she run?
She runs a tight ship.
Family?
Yeah. Everybody is family. And that's really nice thing about her is that she treats everybody like we're her family.
And you know where she stands?
Always know where she stands, yes. And she's very thoughtful, very thoughtful.
What's your thoughts on getting this award?
I'm just so pleased for her, and I know it means a lot to her, especially with her father having been the principal here for so many years. And I know that this is, she puts her all into it. She really does. And all through COVID and everything, I mean, she was outstanding, just outstanding, yeah.
Marshall, you're a senior.
Yep.
Your thoughts of being a student in Mrs. Pease High School?
It's great. She treats everyone as an individual, and that's what I love about her. You know, like usually as a principal, you see them it's a broad thing where she kind of treats everyone as an individual. She knows everyone's names. She treats everyone kindly, and that's just what's great about her.
You ever been called to the principal's office?
I have. Nothing bad, though. Nothing bad, but I have been called to the principal office.
What's your thoughts on her getting this award?
It's amazing. It's amazing for the whole community, for her as a person. It's great to see it.
Finn, you're the student council president?
Student council vice president, class officer, vice president anyway.
Senior class?
Yes.
What's your thoughts of being a student in Mrs. Pease's high school?
Being a student here at MVHS, you have an opportunity to really explore things that you're interested in, and Mrs. Pease is always there to support you as an individual in the groups that you're a part of. She's always asking what she can do to help, and just that kind of support is really huge and really kind of sets us apart.
What's your thoughts on her getting this award?
I think it's very well deserved. I think that she puts in a lot of time and a lot of effort to improving our school community, and she just does it to improve the community, and for her to get this outside award, I think is really huge.
Audrey, what do you do here at Medomak Valley?
I teach English, and I'm the academic coordinator for the English Language Arts Department.
Mrs. Pease is an old English teacher. You must have some great conversations.
Oh yes, we taught together for a number of years. Yeah.
What's it like having Mrs. Pease now for the boss?
It's been great. I mean, this is my 25th year, so I've seen numerous principals, and she strikes a really good balance between really understanding the teaching point of view, understanding students' point of view, but also being a really progressive leader. And so it's been an absolute plus all around.
Do you think by being a former teacher, she manages maybe from a teacher standpoint of view?
Well, I don't know if she manages from a teacher standpoint of view, but she certainly keeps it in mind. Like, she knows how something's going to impact staff because she knows the work of staff, and she's taught for more than 30 years. So, and I think that that will make the best administrative leader because they understand what the classroom is really like and how over years how students have changed because now they have technology at their fingertips when way back when they didn't. And so, she is always mindful of those changes and mindful of the progress forward. And in that sense, yes, I'm really glad that she has the asset of having been a teacher. And now, as a leader, she can implement a lot of those understandings.
How long have you been secretary for Linda Pease?
I've been working with Linda as secretary since 2015.
What's it like being the right hand of the principal of Medomak Valley High School?
Well, she and I have a history because we have been friends for over 55 years. We went to school together. We graduated in the class of 1981 together. We have chummed around together for so many years, and we were supposed to have our kids at the same time. We were in each other's wedding. We've been very close, but we've kept a very professional relationship. And it's been strange to think that I'm here, she's here, and this is how it worked out.
You're running the ship together.
We are running the ship together, I guess, but we also have a lot of help. The girls out front, Deb and Jessica, we all work together.
Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to our Talkin Town Talk show. I'm Larry Seidling, your host, and today I am really excited because I have something really special for you folks at home. Now, you that know me or have known me growing up know that I probably spent a little bit of time, or I have a little bit of experience of being in the principal's office. Well, today I'm back in the principal's office, and for good reason, because today I have the MVP of principals in the state of Maine with me, Mrs. Linda Pease, the principal of Medomak Valley High School, who has just been awarded the Maine's National Association of Secondary School Principal of the Year for 2024. Linda, congratulations so much, Mrs. Pease, and thank you so much for taking time to talk to the LCTV crew and Talkin Town Talk.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You have the most impressive resume. You've taught for so many years, and before I get into all that, though, because I knew your dad,
yes,
who started Medomak Valley High School. What was it like? Tell the folks at home a little bit. What was it like growing up in the principal's house?
In the principal's house, we were familiar with things like what it was like to have eggs on the side of the house at Halloween. We knew what it was like when it was tournament season, and that was back when all the tickets, or many of the tickets, were sold out of our house. So our family was hugely involved in the tournaments, particularly for basketball. I knew from a very young age that May was the month of miracles, that is the month when students who might not be making it for graduation needed to really buckle down and get there. So I learned early on that May was the month of miracles. We couldn't get away with anything. My father told me, anyway, I can't speak for what he told my brother and sister. But,
I did we did the family doll of history,
yes.
So Andy did fill us in on a few back-end stories.
Yes, so, but my father told us that he would not lie for us, and that if we weren't in school, he would be notified, And we would do the 2 weeks, that's what it used to be, 2 weeks of detentions after school if we were skipping. So when it came around to senior skip day, Linda Dolph didn't go, and that's okay. I respect now that I'm in this position the fact that my father, from a very young age, we knew what ethics and morals and living up to expectations were. So it was a pretty varied upbringing with a lot of experiences. We knew about late school board meetings. We knew about scheduling. We actually used to help my father schedule. It was back when he had a punch card for every period of the day that a student was in, and we would help him organize the punch cards in June and July when he was home on vacation. So I knew about all these things from a very young age, and we were always very proud of Dad. This was like a second home. I was 5 years old in 1968-69 when it was opening, and I can still remember what it smelled like. The odor of the new school, which makes it very hard to know that here we are all these years later. We haven't had a lot of things done to the school, but I still remember what it was like when it was brand new. So I think I might have different eyes on it than other people might.
Did you feel when did you feel that you wanted to become a teacher? Did you feel destined to be a teacher?
Oh, I felt destined to be a teacher. I played with my dolls and my teddy bears in the back shed with a chalkboard as early as 5 years old. I can remember that. So I felt like teaching was just my destiny. I never felt that being principal was.
And your siblings are both in education.
Yes. My brother is Dr. Andrew Dolph. He's now the superintendent of Yarmouth. He's moved around a little bit down in southern Maine. And my sister, Deb Dolph Tanner, was Somerset County Teacher of the Year 2 or 3 or 4 years ago. I'm not exactly sure. And her daughter, her youngest daughter now, last week, the day after I received this award, was named the Somerset County Teacher of the Year. So we're keeping it in the family.
There's a special gene in the Dolph family?
I guess. I don't know. We're keeping it in the family. My daughter-in-law, Jessica Pease, is an EdTech 3 BHP at St. George. And I have a niece that is at the James Dowdy School in Bangor. And of course, my brother's wife is in Westbrook. So I think I've remembered everybody that's in education in the family.
Have you been told you have to give a little
No, but I wanted to make sure that I didn't forget anybody because they're very dear. We're a very close family.
So, Friendship Street School.
Yes.
Miller School.
Yes.
A.D. Gray.
Yes.
Medomak Valley High School.
Yes.
University of Southern Maine.
Yes.
You're a local girl.
I am. University of Southern Maine. And then I got my master's degree at UNE. And yep, I've been here.
Tell us a little bit about your career journey.
I started out in a single wide trailer at Washington at the Prescott School. And I was there for 2 years. And when I started out, the kids had their books in cardboard boxes. They did have desks and chairs. We put black paper on the windows when we wanted to show a film strip. Beautiful people up in Washington at the Prescott Memorial School. And so after doing that for 2 years, I then moved to Miller School, a little bit of a bigger school, and compared to Prescott School, and had a fantastic time there. Was there when it became the National School of Excellence in 1994 under Jack Mara. And then I had always thought that I wanted to be in the upper levels, but my husband was here and my life was here, and I didn't think that getting here while Dad was principal was the thing to do. So I then went to A.D. Gray Middle School and taught there for 8 years, was the head teacher. And then I took a little hiatus and went over to the Midcoast School of Technology for 3 years and taught English there and learned so much about career technical education and the pride that the students had there.
I want to stop you right there.
Yeah.
How is it different teaching at the local elementary school or the high school and teaching tech school?
There wasn't a lot of difference for me. Probably a third of my kids there were from Medomak Valley High School, but the kids who chose to go to the Midcoast School of Technology were very much like the kids that I had from our district that were there. And I really feel that being there for those 3 years helped me broaden my understanding of all of the opportunities of public education, including CTE. I wasn't there. I didn't get a chance to be in the new building. but I've been in it since, and it's just absolutely magnificent. And I'm very glad that we're connected to a school like that and can send kids from here over there. And then I wrote to Bob Strong in the spring of 2015 and said, I want back into Medomak. Is there something for me there? And he wrote back and said, I'll find something for you here. So, not 2015, 2005, excuse me. And then I taught for 10 years here, and then my principal got sick. And he had asked me in 2006, 7, 8 to be an administrator, and I felt that I wore my heart too much on my sleeve to be in leadership. I felt that it would just be too hard for me to manage my own emotions. And so I kept saying no. And then he became terminally ill in 2015, and one of the last things we talked about was, he said, you should be going to the principalship. And so in the month that he died, I applied and became the assistant principal. Interestingly enough, almost to the day that he passed away, my dad was diagnosed with metastatic melanoma, and he lived long enough to see me in the role as assistant principal for about 5 months, and he passed away in January of 2015. And then was assistant principal, and then for various reasons ended up being acting principal, and then accepted as full-time principal in 2018. And it's been a tremendous opportunity. It's been a huge learning experience. And what I said in the ceremony on Friday is that what I thought would be a problem for me in wearing my heart on my sleeve, probably as a leader now, I realize is one of my greatest assets. It doesn't make it easy, but I care deeply about this community, about the people in it, the students, the staff. I love these people, all of them. When I said, you're my people, I was serious. It was weird to have my family in the same, that with all those people that I love, sitting in front of me with the staff and the students all around me that I love. And I said that day, it's overwhelming to have everybody in the same place, but very gratifying, and I'm very humbled by it all.
Going from the classroom to the boardroom, so to speak, is what you do.
Yes.
Kind of is the same parallel. How do you correlate leadership at the boardroom level, trying to make those decisions from a teacher's perspective?
I'm very grateful that I had 30 years in the classroom. Not everybody does it that way, and it's a long time, but I had 30 years in the classroom at various levels and had a complete understanding of curriculum. What I realized in that I might not have known so much before doing so is how much this position is rooted in following the policies that the school board has set in place. And so it takes a while, it takes a lot of practice. Those first couple of years, I'm very thankful for having Steve Nolan as a superintendent. When he talks about me being tenacious, the poor guy, I called him a lot.
You don't take no for an answer.
Yeah. And he would always tell me that he was glad that I was calling to ask instead of just going ahead and doing it on my own. And but I called him a lot, and I recently thanked him for the fact that maybe I don't call as often anymore, and he must be relieved because I kind of have my feet under me now. But being rooted in policy and going back to what the school board has decided, when something happens here, I have a team of people, my assistant principals, and just say, hey, what does the policy say? And you'd think that you would maybe have them all memorized, but there's so much going on that you necessarily don't, so we constantly just go back to the original page. What does the document say? What are we supposed to do? And to be moral about it and ethical. And people don't like some of the decisions that happen, but they're made ethically and morally with policy in mind.
How do you keep your staff motivated?
I try to be upbeat myself. When they ask me for things, and I have people here all the time that come to me with, hey, I had this idea. And I'm like, go for it. How can we put it in place? Like, I rarely say no to things. They don't they don't poach ideas that are totally off the wall, but hey, I want to do this. Hey, I want student council. Hey, we want to have an obstacle course with inflatables. Great. Let's make sure it's safe. Nobody's going to get hurt. Let's go for it. Let's laugh. Let's have a good time. People bring ideas to me all the time, and I basically say, hey, if you've got the people to pull it off and it works and it's okay, then let's go for it. And so they take off with things. I also feel like when they come in, and this room is a place where people cry. We are happy sometimes too, but it's also a place where people cry. Students cry, parents cry, staff cry, because life is hard and things happen. So they come in and they tell me, this is going on, and I need this day, I need to do this. You just tell me what you need. I say that to people a lot. You tell me what you need and I will do my best to make it happen.
You have a saying, every interaction matters.
Yes, I have that from other people that I've heard. Dr. Joe Sanfilippo is a renowned educator, and he talks about that, and I agree with him completely. That and I'm very thoughtful about when I make mistakes about that. I don't always have the best response sometimes. I hold myself to a high standard, and I reflect on things, and I say, okay, the next time that happens, that is not going to be your response. Every interaction does matter. When you sit down with your family, you probably talk about what happened when we were younger. What happened when I was in school. When I was in school.
My kids don't want to hear it.
Sometimes when you say those when I was in school times, it's about something really awful that happened, because we remember those experiences forever. And so I think about, what interaction am I going to have that's going to be a positive forever memory as opposed to a negative forever memory. And when I've made a mistake and that has happened, I usually try to own it with whoever it is, to say, hey, that wasn't my best day. I'm going to try again another day, and hopefully it'll be better.
You can be my boss, Linda. I heard you say you're an English teacher at heart.
Yes, I am.
In today's society, with all the different modes of communication, how do you impress upon students how important it is to be able to express yourself and communicate correctly?
Because
it's not easy.
It is not easy, and I think it's gotten, with texting, it's gotten to this sort of ease that is too easy. My brother and sister and I laugh about my dad, because when he would get really instructive or irritated about something, he could kind of slip into what we always called the king's language. So he'd say, "Be it known that," and
I could just hear Mr. Dollop saying
right?
that too.
"Be it known that." And recently I was at a meeting and I heard myself say something like, "Let there be no mistake," and I really paused, like,
did you look to see if your dad was on your shoulder?
His picture is over there, but I thought, oh my goodness, I did chuckle about that. But trying to impress upon people that even for applying for a scholarship, like, that first look matters. When you apply for a scholarship and it's in pencil and the paper's wrinkly, and like, that matters to somebody who's receiving it. That's the first look that somebody has of you. And I think that's really hard.
Impressions.
Yes.
You only get one first impression.
Yes, absolutely. So we try to talk about that. But with all of that relaxed as much as it is, it's really hard, because in texting, people don't use capital letters. That many times they can have a whole string of conversation and it's with emojis and with little...
I'm lost.
Yeah, right? Yeah. So
how have students, if you've nearly 40 years in education, how has the students today changed since your first years in the classroom teaching?
Well, certainly, I'm not sure, in some ways they have it all. They still need to learn, they need to be loved, they need to be cared for. I think that in the early years, high school kids were considered to be like they were adults. Well, they're not. They're just big little kids. And so they have pain, they have confusion. School's not easy for some, school's really easy for others. Like, they need us. And we need to respond appropriately for them, because they're still young. You think about when you were 18, you thought you knew everything. I don't know about you.
My favorite saying is my dad, as the older I got, my dad got smarter.
Yeah.
Because when I was 18, he wasn't very smart.
That's right.
But when I was 40, he was brilliant.
Right.
He gave Einstein a run for his money.
Right, and isn't that the way that we think? I guess early on, maybe in years past, it was expected that high school students were that young adult. But now I think with all the brain science that we have, that brain is not fully developed until you're 27, 28 years old. I think there's been a relaxation of the expectations of being all that adult at 18. So how have students changed? Certainly technology has changed things, but I think that a lot of it is still all the same as it was. At Miller School, I would have kids who just needed a good meal, a comforting person, and maybe we have more of them nowadays, but it's the same response that's needed. So I kind of wrestle with that question because the things around kids have changed.
Oh, definitely.
The things around them have changed, but they still have those basic needs.
I'd be remiss if I didn't ask for the people with the hair the same color as mine that are watching this. Cell phones. How does the principal of a high school deal with this mode of communication that kids everybody has one?
It's really, really hard.
You have 500 odd kids in the school, and I bet you have 500 cell phones in here.
Oh, yeah. And I think it's more anxiety producing than people realize. I fear for our young people because every time, if you have that phone on you and every time that buzz goes off, there's a compulsion to check and see who it is. And
I think we're all guilty of that to a certain extent.
And there's a compulsion to check. And then for kids even more, it's a compulsion to check to see who's prettier than I am, who's more handsome, who's doing more things than I am, who's more handsome than I am, and do I measure up? And we all know that the things that can be on there aren't necessarily truthful. When you take a snapshot of anything, it's not the whole, it's just that second of that one picture. And kids have a lot that they think that they have to live up to, and it's very anxiety producing.
So that takes me to my next question, social media. How does that play into teaching kids today? You're shaking your head, so it's
really
not good.
tough because they need to be connected 24/7. And I came into the age a little bit older with cell phones, so I'm not a person that needs it on my body every 24/7. On a Saturday, it can be in a pocket, and I don't know where it is. And somebody in my family will say, well, I've been trying to reach you, for 6 hours. And well, I was cleaning the house, and I was walking, and I was out with the dogs or painting, and I'm sorry I didn't have it on. But that's not the way it is for our young people. And even for the next generation of their families, they want them to have their phones on them because they want to be able to reach their kids. It's a huge catch-22.
The days of a parent putting a child on a school bus at 7, 8 o'clock, whatever time it be, and not seeing them until 2, 3, or 4 o'clock, and being in the hands, basically turning over the responsibility to the administration, those days are kind of gone, aren't they?
Parents are in contact with their students, with their children all day long. Yeah, they're in touch with them all day long.
How does that affect?
Well, sometimes what we try to say to kids is our cell phone policy is out of sight, out of hand, out of mind in classes. Every teacher handles it differently, but we try to say it all the time. Like, for example, when the students came down for the assembly on Friday, we've practiced this all year long, that when you come into the gymnasium for an assembly, your phone is out of sight, out of hand, out of mind. And I usually stand at the door and say that. Now, that's not to say it doesn't get pulled right back out, but what we've talked to the kids about is that it's not your right to take pictures of people and put them up on social media without their permission. So if something's happening in that assembly, like say, for example, you were having an obstacle course and somebody totally wiped out, and everybody's there taking a picture of an embarrassing moment, we're trying to say that's not appropriate behavior. So we're trying to teach kids about that behavior, and it's when something happens out in the world, that I can't control, but when it's happening here, like if there's a fight, it's on the web before we even
know about it sometimes,
get there.
I'm sure.
Yeah. So we talked to them about that it would be nice if we could work on separating or not celebrating a fight by everybody standing on chairs and, video recording it on their phones. So we talk about that to try to educate on what the best approach is, but it doesn't always work. But we keep trying. We don't give up. We just keep saying, no, please put that away.
So one of the questions that comes to mind as the top administrator here in Medomak Valley, this whole school system is facing some serious repairs, upgrades to a building that is getting some age on it.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of these challenges, and what are some of the ideas that are going to help? There's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
And from a community that is not real wealthy community.
And I wish I had the answers because I live here too. Mm-hmm. My husband and I live in South Warren. We raised our son here, and he's married now and has I have 4 granddaughters. They've come through this school. The third one is entering next year as a freshman. And
what are you going to say when she says, Grammy, I don't really want to do that?
Well, I guess she has some choices there.
There's a bridge to cross there.
There's a bridge to cross there. I think if we had an answer of how to fund this, if it were easy, I guess we'd already been doing it.
Sure.
And it's not easy. And I don't have tons of money myself. I'm not independently wealthy. My husband and I have worked hard in our lives, and so I sympathize with the concern that this is a lot of money. And on the other side, I also know that we've been using a science lab that was created in 1968, and it's now a different world. Yet we still have the same science lab, with gas and water. That in some ways it doesn't work, in other ways it does, enough to get us by. In the electrical demand for the technology that we have in 1968,
didn't have it.
2 outlets in a classroom was great, but in 2024, 2 outlets isn't anywhere near enough. The water system, the septic system. So I sympathize because I realize that we're in a situation where we have people who don't have a lot to give, and they're just barely getting by. So what is the answer? I don't know. I would like to think we could figure it out. I wish I could just snap my fingers and make it happen, but I have concerns on both sides as well. I get it.
So before we run out of time here,
yes,
I have to ask this question because I knew your dad.
Yes.
I actually worked for him as a coach.
Right, I did know that.
Ronald Dolph was the principal here for a very long
24
time.
years. This office.
In this office, sitting right in that chair.
Yes.
And I'm sure he's looking down with a big smile.
I believe that. I have people who talk to me about it a lot, and I wish I could talk to him. There's been many days when I thought, oh my word, I wish I could talk about this with my dad. Some days it feels completely surreal, like the little girl that played in the shed at 5 years old and doing this. Like, how did I ever get here? And I miss him a lot. My mom is still with us and lives on Pine Street in Waldoboro, and I'm with her a lot. And she supported all three of us siblings, along with my dad, kind of, just doing whatever needed to be done so that we could do whatever we needed to do. I'm greatly appreciative for that. My dad was a great role model for me.
What would he say if he was here today about you getting this award?
I think he would probably say something like, "Atta girl. Atta girl." Yeah.
Good. Ms. Pease, thank you so much for taking time out of a very busy day.
Yeah.
I've been to this high school, as you know, many, many times.
Yes.
It's always busy.
Yes.
Always positive.
Yes.
Your staff has always been great to us at LCTV.
They are a wonderful group of people.
Especially
they make
Mr.
the
Lash.
job. Yes.
Especially Mr. Lash.
Especially Mr.
Done
Lash.
a great
yes.
job.
It's a privilege.
So, folks, I want to say thank you to Linda Pease and all her staff here at Medomak Valley High School. We've been here to celebrate the National Maine's National Association of Secondary School Principals for 2024, Mrs. Linda Pease. She is the principal here at Medomak Valley High School, and it has been my privilege to sit in the principal's office that I've enjoyed immensely, much more than any other time that I ever sat here. So folks at home, thanks so much for watching this episode of Talkin Town Talk. I've been your host, Larry Seidlinger, with my very special guest, Linda Pease from Medomak Valley High School. Thanks so much, and we'll see you sometime down the road somewhere. Don't know where, but catch us sometime.
LCTV is your nonprofit community media station. Please donate at lctv.org to keep us strong. Thank you.